Just imagine, you surpass a painful divorce, breathe relieved thinking that the worst is behind, and then discovers that the real battle has not even started. It was exactly what happened to a woman who, upon returning home, caught an absurd scene, her ex-husband and her mother-in-law, with the biggest wooden face, emptying her apartment as if they were owners of the place. And the worst? They did this in full light of day, without the slightest embarrassment. But this story goes far beyond a simple family quarrel. It is a warning about how greed and lack of character can transform seemingly normal people into true predators. Olga Krutchkova was the portrait of success, respected surgeon in a city hospital, with a salary that many envied. When he inherited a 2-bedroom apartment in the heart of the city, he made no effort to turn him into a true refuge. It has invested heavily, a state-of-the-art dishwasher for $80,000, 120 refrigerator, oven cooktop bordering the 90s. In the living room, a giant 200,000 TV and an Envy home theater. Even on the washing machine, a flawless German percent and 50,000 she has not saved. Every penny was worth it, after all, that was the place where he planned to build his life. Colleagues at the hospital did not hide admiration. Lucky for her, inheriting such a property, they commented, while Olga smiled, proud of what she had achieved with her own sweat. It was at a corporate event that he met Maxim Lapshin, a 32-year-old, charming and attentive engineer. Flowers, dinners in expensive restaurants, sweet words, he looked like the enchanted prince. Of course, she lived with her mother, Emilia Karpovna, in a modest Khrushchevka on the periphery, but justified with a moving speech, "It's my duty to take care of her, after all, she is aging." When he ordered his hand, Olga did not hesitate. He thought he had found his happy ending. At first, the mother-in-law received her daughter-in-law with a calculated coldness, but always disguised by forced smiles and cliché lines about the importance of the family and the joy of having grandchildren. After the wedding, Maxim moved to Olga's apartment, and it was then that hell began to settle silently. Emilia came to appear almost every day, inspecting every corner of the house with a critical look. So much technology, man, for a young couple. Wouldn't it be better to save that money? I rearranged the furniture, cooked dishes that no one asked for and left on the stove, and still had the boldness to justify, "It's for your good." The first signs that something was wrong came up 6 months later. Maxim started to arrive later and later, always with the same excuse, "I work late, you know how it is." But it was the endless links to the mother, whispering things that Olga could not hear, that really made her uncomfortable. When he asked, he treated her like a paranoid, "You live in inventing problems, relaxes." Meanwhile, Emilia was settling in the kitchen as if she was the owner of the house, criticizing each decision of Olga, always with her son's support. "You should be more understanding," said her husband, echoing her mother's words. The tension in the air was so dense that you could cut with a knife. Divorce came as a lightning in clear sky. Maxim simply announced, without any less, "I don't love you anymore. We're not compatible." He signed the rolls without blinking, and Olga, exhausted to live in a mining emotional field, nor did he try to stop him. After all, the apartment was inheritance, acquired before marriage, and all appliances had been bought with his money. Maxim took only his personal things and returned to his mother's house. "Finally free," said Olga. But peace lasted only 2 weeks. She was immersed in complex surgery at the hospital when the neighbor, Tamara Ivanovna, desperately tried to enter. In contact. 3 lost calls, an urgent voice message, "Olga, I saw some porters with a pickup truck at the door of your building." Then, her ex-husband and the mother-in-law entered the apartment. I found it strange. As soon as the operation ended, Olga ran home. As he opened the door, he found a Dantesque scenery, the house overturned, voices in the kitchen, and on the floor, 2 pairs of shoes that were not his own. What he saw then froze his blood. Maxim, kneeling, dismantled the dishwasher she had paid a fortune. Beside, Emilia meticulously packaged the blender, multi-cooker, the coffee machine, all that had value. "Look who arrived," Zoranized the mother-in-law, without even interrupting the work. Maxim looked up, and his face was a mixture of arrogance and nervousness. "Olga, we are just removing what belongs to us. By law, we are entitled to half of the goods acquired during marriage. What are you doing here?" The anger took over her. This is all mine. I bought it with my sweat, before and during the wedding. Emilia straightened, putting her hands on her waist like a general in battle. Shut up, girl. Your ex-husband has rights, and me, as a mother, I'm just helping my son. After all, family is family. Olga looked around and felt the despair. The room was empty, without the TV, without the home theater. From the kitchen, the washing machine cables came out, clearly already removed. They must return everything now, he demanded, the trembling voice of fury. Maxim shook his head, cynical. No chance. We already have buyers. We need the money. You don't know, but I took a car loan. What money, if you are unemployed? Reputed Olga, losing her patience. Emilia Arfu offended. How do you dare? My son works, earns your money honestly. It was then that Olga noticed. The dishwasher was almost ready to be taken, the wires wrapped carefully, as if they were a trophy. Maxim, stop that immediately. You have no right on these things. The ex-husband laughed, sarcastic. Yes, we were married, so everything is ours. My lawyer has already explained to me. What a lawyer? What the right? Olga shouted, feeling his hands close in fists. Meanwhile, Emilia approached the refrigerator, evaluating her with greedy eyes. This is also cute too. How much it cost, her? Something inside Olga snapped. Don't touch her. Maxim got up, taking the dust off his pants. Don't overdo it, we're doing everything right. You'll get your part, and we, ours. The ex-husband's words echoed in his mind as a warning. If I don't act now, they will take everything. In a thrust, she advanced and slapped such a strong Maxim that the sound echoed through the room. He staggered, bringing his hand to his face. Did you go crazy? Shouted Emilia. Olga turned to her mother-in-law and repeated the gesture with the same strength. The woman fell sitting in a chair, holding her red face. Get out of my house now, and return everything they have already taken. Old, the hoarse voice of hatred. Maxim rubbed his cheek, his eyes full of poison. Let's go to the police station. You'll pay for it. You assaulted 2 innocent citizens. Yes, challenged Olga, taking a deep breath. And explain there why they were stealing a home that is not yours. Emilia got up, her face burning with humiliation and pain. Do you think it will be unpunished? My son has rights. And you still raised your hand. Maxim was already dressed in the coat, determined. Come on, mother. At the police station, they will put this crazy in due place. Then we come back and took the rest without problems. They came out knocking on the door, leaving Olga alone in the chaos. When traveling the rooms, the heart sank. TV, washing machine, home theater, microwave, everything had disappeared. A loss of at least $500,000 reais. With shaking hands, he took the phone and called Grigory, a trusted lawyer. In a few minutes, he drew the strategy. Record an occurrence report by theft right now and add all the purchase vouchers. They have no chance. Meanwhile, at the police station, Maxim and Emilia staged their theater. She, with a scarf pressed against her face, pretended to be the fragile victim. He, raising for justice against the violent woman who had dared to defend her own home. But what they didn't know is that this time the law would not be on their side. Starkov's duty officer heard the testimonials with a penetrating look that had already seen hundreds of cases like that. The red marks on both faces were undeniable. Emilia Karpovna even sobbed between the sentences, like an actress in the final scene. So, were you in the apartment of citizen Kryachkova removing electronic equipment? Asked Starkov dryly. Yes, but by right. Maxim exploded, the veins of his neck jumping. We were married. Heritage is common. Starkov scored everything calmly glacial. And when was this technique acquired? The question fell like a blade. During the wedding, of course, I intervened. Emilia, the voice too trembling to be convincing. The officer raised his eyes impassive. They were married for 6 months. A heavy silence took over the room. Do you have the purchase documents? Invoices? Guarantees? Maxim swallowed hard. What documents? This is an aggression, not an inventory. They can register the occurrence, said Starkov, closing the folder with a snap. But they have just admitted that they were removing goods from an unauthorized property. Its tone was soft, almost friendly, the kind of calm that precedes a storm. This, my friends, is a very different crime. It was at this moment that Olga entered the police station, accompanied by Grigory, who carried a flawless leather paste. Good afternoon, he went to the officer with a serenity that contrasted with the chaos in the room. I came to record a theft. My residence was invaded, and equipment in the amount of 500,000 rubles were subtracted. Maxim and Emilia's eyes met in a panic. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Starkov examined the documents Olga delivered: invoices, bank statements, the inheritance certificate of the apartment. The refrigerator was bought 2 years ago, the TV for 18 months ago, the dishwasher too, he read aloud, while Maxim's face was whitish. And your wedding lasted? A year, replied Olga without blinking. That is, everything was acquired before, with my money. Grigory opened his portfolio. My client has all the evidence that these individuals illegally invaded their property and subtracted high-value goods. This is not family disagreement, official. It's a crime. What do you mean illegally? Shouted Maxim out of control. I have the keys. Keys of a property that is no longer yours and where you have no more rights, said Grigory, cold. This is called the invasion of home. And, combined with qualified theft, the penalty can be severe. Emilia pulled her son's arm, the trembling fingers. Max, let's go. This won't end well. But Starkov had already gotten up. Ladies Lapshin, accompany me to the office to give testimony. We now have 2 records, one of theft and one of aggression. Let's clarify everything, thoroughly. What followed was a surgical dismantling of his lies. The investigator found that Maxim had been unemployed for 3 months, a detail that hid even his own mother. That car financing had been late for 6 months. That the technique had already been sold to resellers for half the price even before the theft was recorded. Emilia tried to protect her son, but every word of her dug a deeper pit. She admitted that she had planned the action, which watched Olga's schedules, who chose the right day to act. At dusk, it was clear, the game had turned against them. The assault of aggression seemed a joke before the evidence of 500,000 theft. The marks on the face already faded, while Olga's documents shone, irrefutable. Grigory articulated the opening of a large-scale criminal case. Maxim faced up to 6 years in prison, Emilia, complicity. Resellers were located in hours, part of the appliances had already been resold, another was still in a dirty deposit on the outskirts of the city. The process of recovery of goods was long and humiliating. Maxim tried to negotiate with Olga, offering returning everything if she removed the complaint. But she just looked at him with a cold smile. You took me a lot more than objects, Maxim. He took my peace, my dignity. Now it's my turn. The trial was fast. The trials, overwhelming. Maxim took 4 years of suspension and mandatory community services. Emilia, 2 years also suspended and a fine that drained her economies. They still had to pay the full amount of stolen assets, more compensation for moral damages. Maxim's BMW was auction, the savings of Emilia, zeroed. The story leaked in the hospital corridors. Olga colleagues commented, between admired and scandalized, as she had crushed the arrogant. They came to call her the Iron Lady not out of cruelty, but because she refused to bow. A year after the verdict, she met Dennis, a cardiologist from the neighboring hospital. A righteous man, independent, with her own life and, most importantly, without a toxic family on her back. This time, everything flowed naturally. Maxim, on the other hand, found that a criminal record is a weight that few employers want to carry. He accepted poorly paid work, swallowing pride with each refusal. Emilia got sick from so much stress. The son took care of her among exhaustive shifts, cursing the day he had decided to loot his ex-wife. 3 years later, Olga and Dennis married in an intimate ceremony, among friends and colleagues who admired her. The apartment now boasted even more modern appliances, bought this time without blackmail. Maxim learned of a wedding by chance, bumping into photos on social networks. He understood, then, that any chance to rebuild the past had gone out. He attempted new relationships, but women fled when they discovered their history. Emilia never recovered from shame. The neighbors avoided her. The story of the robbery of the daughter-in-law was a subject in the queues of the supermarket. She closed herself in her apartment, a shadow of what it was out. Meanwhile, Olga flourished. 2 children, a department head promotion, a life she had sculpted herself. Sometimes, as he passed the room, he looked at the place where he had given those slapped and smiled. Those punches were not just against them, I thought. It was for my future. He had learned the most valuable lesson: happiness is not required to be permitted. And those who dare steal it pays the price.